going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Just wanted to go over some things here while it's the weekend. We don't have charts to look at or talk about, but I'll tell you some of the things that I'm looking at, I'm watching closely, and I kind of want to see how they all play out with muln. So might be something that you're interested in as well if you have money that is tied up in muln and you want to know what could be the potential of what we're looking at and all of this moving forward with Elms and everything associated with the Bollinger purchase as well. So just kind of wanted to go over some of that. So what I was looking at was just trying to get an idea really of how many outstanding shares are out there. I'm seeing different numbers in different places. As of right now, it's looking like, somewhere between the 572 and 750 range. I'm not getting the same number anywhere that I'm looking, and that can make sense because we kind of don't know, I think, how many are out there yet. We know that muln's been doing a lot of basically selling into the market, diluting it, but it has a reason to. I mean, with an EV startup, it's going to take a lot of money to be able to put it in the right direction. So hopefully, with that dilution is actually some sort of silver lining that's going to come out in the end where they are able to have enough cash on hand to do what they want to do when they want to do it and strike when the time's right. Just roughly down here on the balance sheet, it says the company has 61.11 million in cash and 10.92 million in debt. So they do have some cash on hand, which made me kind of look into what's going in with the Bollinger Motors purchase with the filing here. And I was just looking over some of the numbers, and right here you can see on or before the 30th day of November 2022, muln's going to have to shell out 15.5 million to be their first installment there. Now that's going to be probably the one that I'm watching the closest because they do have cash on hand, but are they wanting to use that cash that they do have on hand to make that first installment? That's going to be the to be determined aspect, whether they want to use those funds or if we are going to see a little bit further dilution, or have they sold enough at this point that they have the cash on hand to really go ahead and move forward with that. The next couple installments are not anything as substantial. February 23, 5.5 million, and then May 23, 5.5 million. So it's and then I guess we got August 23, 5.5 million, November. So we do have some funds that are going to be going out there, but really this first installment in November is the one that's got my attention right now because we're looking to the near future and seeing what happens there, and if they have diluted enough that they can cover these and it's already taken care of. Was that part of the plan all along, or is there going to be a little bit more? There could be. Looking at the milestone checklist that we know probably has, I don't know how you spell his name, David Mitchery or Mishery, however you want to pronounce it. He does have some check marks that are going to be beneficial to him if he can reach those. So right now, what I'm really looking for is this feature milestone if muln enters into an agreement with the manufacturer or provider of equipment, accessory, feature, or other product by the end of 2023 that sets muln or its vehicles apart from its competitors, or that provides muln a first mover or first disclosure advantage over its competition for the feature. The company will issue, obviously, a number of shares, 5%, going to Mr. Mishery. So he has some strong incentive and advantages, or for him personally, to be able to hit this milestone. So let's see if he can do that by the end of 2023. It looks like things are setting up where it could be a realistic goal that could be met. We know that muln has let us down in the past and failed to meet some of those goals or some of the hype that has been put up around it. But all we can do is look forward and see, if they are going to turn things around. And it seems like the way they're getting set up as of in the last few months, they're really trying to be able to do that. So let's see if they can. And then the distribution milestone. If Mullen meets the vehicle distribution milestone set forth by entering into a joint venture or other distribution agreements by the end of 2024, the company will issue to, again, Mr. Mishry, a number of shares of 2%. So he has another nice incentive to actually be able to start meeting these distribution needs, which was making me kind of look and see, like what do we possibly have that could be working in that direction. And Delpac Logistics to place an order for up to 600 Mullen Class 2 EV cargo vans over the next 18 months. So will this actually come into play? Could that be, they could possibly tailor the Indiana factory, I suppose, around this if they wanted to. It'll take them a little bit of money, which, again, are they going to reach into their pockets, or could it be more dilution? I don't know. We're going to find out, but, where the stock price is, as long as you're not betting the farm on it, then we're just going to watch and see what happens. So we do know that they won the bid for Elms, it appeared, and I still have not got that full document, but I still see it floating around, so I think that they probably will have this plant on hand. It does appear that they will. So just kind of watching to see what happens there, but we know that costs them some money as well. Not a substantial amount. It looks like it was a pretty decent buy for what they paid for what it was worth. There's going to be a little bit of money that goes into that, no doubt. I would assume for some sort of modifications to do whatever they want to do. And I was just kind of looking through what could possibly aspire from all of this that's going on with the Elms, and it says that it could adopt 10 or more Fortune 500 companies with this acquisition, which would be awesome if they do. If those companies have orders in, or if there was some sort of contract that would bind them, that would go ahead and transfer over to Mullen. There's a lot of fine print and a lot of contracts, and a lot of people have ways to get out of contracts, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they will or that they have to. So we'll see how all the fine print shakes out, and if that all comes together, we have the tour that's starting. So looking forward to seeing how the tour actually plays out. Let's see if Mullen starts delivering on some of these statements or promises that they've kind of been making to their shareholders for a while. Looking forward to seeing if there are any other Fortune 500 companies, I guess, for the Elms van in pre-order. So will Best Buy, FedEx, Disney, Walmart, Donlin, Merchant Fleet, Red Bull, or Ryder, will any of those come through? I was looking at the options chain as well. We will do a video on that a little bit later. This one's saying in the 3 to 5 range strikes, so I don't know. Seems a bit aggressive for October, but we will look at it a little bit more in depth as we go on with our coverage of Mullen. It does appear that the institutional investors are increasing, which is sometimes a good sign, sometimes not, right? Do they want to just buy them to loan them out, or do they know something, or are they, putting their hope or intentions in the right spot? Time tells on that type of stuff. We don't really know. We're hoping that this battery test thing all comes together. We've had some reports on it, but I haven't seen anything like set in stone that we do have. We could have the best battery out there, but I would really like to see some sort of update as far as that goes. But those were some of the highlights that I'm just looking at, just kind of waiting to see if they do come into fruition, if it all works out and comes together for Mullen. So I'm going to be watching that closely. Like I said, by the end of November, that's whenever that first installment's going to come due. So 30 days, let's see how the stock price is reacting. And I think that's going to give us a pretty good inclination as to if they've already made arrangements to have this money on hand, or if they're going to try to further dilute and get the money from there. So time will tell, but we're at least looking at time frames, so we want to keep a close eye on those time frames just so that we can see how that's responding. If it looks like it's stocks moving in the right direction. I think there was another gift that went out to David here recently. I should have pulled that up, but I think he just got quite a bit more stock that was gifted to him. So let's see if he wants to hold on to it this time, or how many of those he's going to, unload. I could see him selling some, right? That's probably some of his payments, and if they're gifted to you, then it is what it is. That's all going to come down to it, but that could add into our selling pressure as well. Do I think he'll sell them all? I don't think he'll sell them all, but could he unload some that would have an impact? Yeah, he could. So let's keep an eye on that as well, what the insiders are doing with their shares in the coming month or so, or this quarter at least. See if they're going to start hanging on to those and try to ride the waves back up. So just some things to add to your overall vision for muln. See how everything's responding. See if they are going to actually start meeting some of these deadlines. See if they're going to start moving things in the right direction and pulling things off. All we can do is be optimistic. If we're a long-term vision or an investor, if you're just looking for a quick trade, that's, then you don't need to consider any of this kind of stuff, I guess. You're just looking for your setups. But if you are invested and you're looking towards the long term, these are things that we want to see met. These are things that we're going to be keeping an eye on and watching for and seeing how the market's responding. Sometimes, it seems like we get some good news and it doesn't necessarily work out to our advantage. And again, I think some of that could be due to the fact that some of this good news is costing quite a bit of money. So whenever you're an EV startup and you're kind of limited with your cash on hand, where are you getting that cash from? So sometimes that hurts us as far as the share price goes, because they got to get the money from somewhere for right now until they're actually in production mode and making money and, turning things around and going in the right direction that way. So keep an eye on it, guys. Thanks for coming back and watching another one. I will catch you in the next one. As always, stay golden, people, and may your accounts stay green.